Hi, this is an introduction to Pythagorean trigonometry, and let's just get started. Here we go. Here we have a circle. We have a circle with its center at the origin. The distance from the center to the outside is called the radius. But if we put this on a Cartesian plane, on a graph like um, this point here would have coordinates, an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. So you'd go x along and y up. That'd be the coordinates of this point. But hey, this is a right angle triangle that's formed, and there's an angle that's formed. And we know that if we make fractions out of the sides of the triangle, we get the different trigonometric functions. Like the sine of the angle would be x over r. There we go, because that's the cosine would be x over r because it's adjacent over hypotenuse. You see, that's adjacent, and that's the hypotenuse. R is the hypotenuse. And the sine would be y over r, the sine of the angle, because it's opposite over hypotenuse. And the tangent of this angle would be the opposite side, which is y, the y-coordinate, over the adjacent side, which is the x-coordinate. So there you have it. Sine of any angle is y over r, cosine is x over r, and tangent of the angle would be y over x. Well, this works all the way around. We know right here, we start x as 0 degrees. The y-axis pointing up is 90 degrees. Over here is 180. Down here is 270, and back to where we start is 360 degrees. There's something else very special about these triangles here. This triangle here, we know that Pythagoras works, that the two sides adjacent to the right angle, if we square them, we get the hypotenuse squared. Well, that's very important because in many problems, we know two of these things, and we can find the third by just using Pythagoras. That's very important. And just the last thing you have to see here is that if we were looking for trig functions here, x and y are both positive. So that means everything is positive. That's what this A stands for, sine, cosine, and tan. But if we went over here, well, y is positive, but x is negative. Well, that's going to have this effect. It's going to make cosine negative. It's going to make tangent negative because x is negative, but sine will be positive because y is positive. So sine is the only trig function that's positive here. Down in the third quadrant, sine and cosine will be negative because x and y are negative. But tangent, you'll have two negatives. And y over x, two negatives, will make tangent positive. That's why tangent's positive here. Everything else is negative. And over in the fourth quadrant, what happens there? Well, x is positive, so that's why cosine is positive. But the other two, y is negative, so that's going to make sine negative and tangent negative. That's why cosine is only positive in the fourth quadrant. Everything positive in the first, sine positive in the second, everything else negative, tangent positive in the third, but everything else negative, cosine positive in the fourth, but everything else negative. We remember this with all stations to Cape Town, but it's better just to think about where x is positive and negative and where y is positive and negative, and you'll get the right signs for the trig functions. And that's your introduction.